Hey cutie heads, I'm Tiff Day. Welcome to my platform. It's a journey of growth, of love, of learning, and we're doing it together. You're never alone. Today, you are enough.
Hey cutie heads, it's Tiff with Tiff Day today, and today we are discussing breast cancer awareness, which runs from October 1st through the 31st. And our hopes today with Tiff Day today is to really help you guys understand and be aware of this disease that affects men and women all over, and to really bring awareness. We've got some great sites. I have the most dear friend with me that's been through this. She's going to share her story. She's going to help us understand maybe how to relate to someone that's going through this, how someone that's going through it feels. There's so many things that I feel like we don't understand. So I might get emotional because she is so sweet. I love her so much. But this is a really important part of our society. And I'm sure each of you know someone that has gone through this, maybe a family member, maybe a friend. I know people that have lost their lives to this. So it's something that's very important to understand. Also, I think it's important to know how we can come together as a community, how we can be more involved. So, everyone, this is my beautiful friend, Alicia Koos, and I love her. By the time we are done with this, you are going to see what an angelic, wholesome, beautiful woman she is. And the story that you bring is just one of strength and perseverance. And sometimes I'm just in awe when I look at you. And you're beautiful.
You're so
like
sweet,
you
Tiff.
are beautiful, but
so sweet.
that beauty
Thank
is
you.
also inside. And I'm super grateful for you in my life. She's helped me through a lot. So
thank
Alicia, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on your amazing podcast and for sharing my story because, like you said, it is a huge, I don't want to say problem, but it's something that is affecting a lot of people.
Yes.
And when I was diagnosed, I was 35 years old.
You were young.
I was so young. I had little babies. And at the time, I had actually just had my 35th birthday. And I was going in for my annual mammogram not my mammogram, my annual gynecological exam.
Okay.
And she finished up and she said, okay, now it's time to schedule your mammogram. And I looked at her and said, wait, I'm only 35. I don't need a mammogram until I'm 40, which is so interesting because we had just lost my dad a month before from pancreas cancer.
I did not know that.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
1 month before, actually 3 weeks before my 35th birthday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so you would think that I would be a little more concerned or worried, but I wasn't. I really was shocked when she said, you need to have your mammogram.
Okay.
I do a baseline on all of my 35-year-olds. And so we scheduled it, and I just kept thinking, this is so strange. I don't need a mammogram. And so the time came up, and I, of course, was busy, and I rescheduled it until July. And then July came, and of course, summer is here.
Oh, goodness.
And we're busy, and we just have way too much to do, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so I canceled it. And I didn't think another thing about it until January of the following year. My kids were off track. So this was January of 2010.
Okay.
My kids were off track, and I had enrolled them in a little art class, and we were driving to art. And all of a sudden, I felt a really strange pain in my shoulder. And it kind of shot down my chest. It wasn't anything that alarmed me or made me feel like, oh my goodness, I need to go to the emergency room right now. It was just something that felt out of place. It was really difficult to explain. But it kept happening. Every time I took a deep breath, it was just kind of shooting this little pain. And I look back now and know that that was our Heavenly Father.
That was your warning sign.
That was my warning.
Saying, Alicia,
Get
in there.
Your hiney.
You've waited too long.
Exactly. So I was with a dear friend the next day and telling her about this interesting pain that wasn't going away. And she said, you need to call your doctor. And so they got me right in. And the doctor that was there said it wasn't my regular doctor. She said that she could feel a lump. But she said, it's not anything I'm really concerned about, but I do want to do a mammogram.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm still not feeling
You're not
any
anxious.
fear.
Okay. You're just, okay.
Nothing. I'm completely calm. I'm clueless, really. Just naive, I guess, to what was happening. So I went in for the mammogram, and they took the mammogram and then said, you know what, we want to do an ultrasound. We just feel something that we want to get more pictures of. So the technician came in and everything seemed fine. And then another technician came in and they're kind of whispering and clicking a lot of pictures.
Did you start to get nervous at that point? Or are you still clueless?
I did start to get a little
Okay.
anxious.
Okay, anxious.
And I remember saying to those girls, is everything okay? Because you guys are clicking that mouse quite a bit and taking a lot of pictures. And they were very sweet and reassuring and said, everything's fine. We just want to make sure and get different angles and views. And I thought, okay. And so they finished up and they said, hang tight, we'll be back in a minute. And the doctor came in through the door. And immediately.
Was your stomach just like, did you know? Could you sense it at that point when the doctor came in? Or just, what are you feeling?
I knew something was going on. I wasn't quite sure. In that moment, I just knew the second he walked through the door that something was wrong.
Okay.
And I remember feeling very, very nervous. I remember I started to cry. And I said, why are you here? What are you doing
Was
here?
anyone there with you?
No.
Oh.
No, heavens, no. I didn't meet anybody. It was just a routine little mammogram test,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I started sobbing and telling him that my dad had just passed away. Our baby was really sick before that. I had a nephew that was sick.
Oh my goodness.
I poured my heart out, and I'm going to get emotional a lot too during this little story.
Go for it.
But I kept saying, you've got the wrong girl. No. And he's like, we don't know what's going on. We just know that we see some spots on your mammogram that we are concerned about. And so we want to do a biopsy, and we want to test that area, and we want to see what's going on. Until we see exactly what's going on in there, we don't want you to worry. Well,
easier said than done.
Absolutely. That was a Friday, and I remember that weekend was just so scary, and so many different thoughts and emotions and fears, and just the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
And
that's a scary. Cancer is a scary word.
So scary.
Especially if you just lost your dad.
Yeah.
To that. That's a scary thought.
You're exactly right. And so by Wednesday, I kept calling. They said it would take probably up to 5 days. So I kept calling and calling, and I was finally able to get some answers that my results were there, that I would have to drive over. So I loaded my little baby Caleb in the car, who was
Wait, you
2.
did not go by yourself with Caleb?
I did.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, sweetie.
Because it was just, Sean was still at work. He couldn't get home. It was 4:00 in the afternoon. I just needed to know.
Right.
So I remember telling my kids I was taking Caleb to the library. Oh, how I wish. How I wish.
Only to the library.
Only to the library to get a little book that day instead. I walked in and a doctor I hadn't met before greeted me, and he said, "We have your results and it's not good." And I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't put my head around what he was saying, and I'm like, what do you mean? And he said you have breast cancer. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, I'm 35. How can I have breast cancer? I'm way too young to have breast cancer. And he said, cancer doesn't care how old you are. And Caleb wasn't quite talking at that point. He was still very young. He had just barely turned 2. And I remember feeling so sad and scared. Sorry. And really lonely, and reaching out in prayer to myself, pleading with our Heavenly Father to give me peace, to give me strength, to get me through whatever was going to come out of this. So that was the first step.
How did you drive home? Did you call Sean?
I did.
Okay.
I called Sean, and I called one of my dearest friends that was my neighbor at the time. And I hadn't told very many people what was going on. But I want to say she had my other kids. And she called and said, "What did they say?" And I just remember telling her and started sobbing. And I got home, and Sean and I talked about how we were going to tell the kids. It was such a whirlwind, and so out of the blue and shocking, and talk about pulling the rug right out from underneath your feet and turning your world upside down. If I can explain it, that would probably be the best way I can think of on how to explain it.
And you wake up one morning and everything is okay.
Right.
And then you're trying to figure out how to tell your kids, your young kids,
my little babies,
and how to wrap your head around it.
Yes.
Oh, my gut feels like it got punched.
I know. Every time I tell that story, mine does too. It brings up a lot of emotions and feelings, for sure.
So what were the next steps? Did they tell you what stage you were in, and what do those stages mean? And what happened?
So I was very, very, very fortunate and blessed to have some of the best doctors on this planet, and I will name them by names because they have become like my sisters. Dr. Kathleen Linger out of Jordan Valley was my OB, and even though she wasn't there, her staff, her nurse practitioner was right there with me, holding me while I was crying, telling me that she was going to make an appointment with her dear friend who was my surgeon, who became my surgeon. She said, "We're going to get you in tomorrow, and she will be able to explain the next steps to you. She'll be able to let you know the stage of your cancer, and then we're going to get you into the oncologist," who all work together. And
that's amazing.
It was such a gift, because you have so many items being thrown at you that you don't have a clue how you're going to manage. And some of these doctors and terms you've never heard of in your whole life. Why would you, And so that was really the beginning of it. And getting an MRI to make sure that it hadn't spread was so scary.
I cannot even imagine.
So scary. And I want to say, so I met with the surgeon first.
Okay.
A day or two after I found out. They really just got the ball rolling right away. And my surgeon said to me, it's a stage 2B, stage 2C, which means it's treatable. It's very treatable. It hasn't spread into, it actually had spread into one of my lymph nodes. And we did discover that after the MRI, which was devastating. And she explained to me that it was common, that by the time you find out that you have cancer, and fortunately you are able to detect it fairly quickly, and sometimes it does travel into your lymph nodes. So one little, it was affecting one of my lymph nodes.
Okay.
And that was so scary. So scary. So she was so amazing at calming my fears and really putting things into perspective. And I look back now and I remember saying to her, am I going to lose my hair? And she said, you are. And it will grow back. And I thought, how can she say? My hair was like so long. And I just, as a woman, we identify so much with our hair.
Hair is important.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel feminine. It makes you feel like a lady.
Yes, it's such a big part of our identity.
It is.
And so after I met with her, I met with the oncologist, and she explained more of the cancer and explained how sometimes women that have family members with pancreatic cancer can get breast cancer. There's really no divine evidence or definitive evidence.
Really?
Not divine evidence.
Like they haven't linked that. There's no research behind it, but they're noticing cases.
Noticing, yes.
That's
and they are researching, and they're starting to find more connections.
Wow.
Of daughters and dads.
Really?
Which is so crazy. Yeah. So she talked about the treatment that would best be suited for me. Since my cancer was sprinkled throughout my breast and I had one larger tumor, she said, we want to do chemo first.
Okay.
So that we can shrink that tumor, and then we will do surgery. Which scared me a little, because in the few days that I had gathered some information or research, actually, let me just stop for a minute. I really thought when I first found out, I didn't know a soul who had ever been through breast cancer, except for when I was growing up and women from my hometown that had passed away.
Like older people.
Right. I didn't know anybody our age. And so I thought, where do I turn? What do I do? Mm-hmm. And my sweet sister-in-law actually had a friend in her neighborhood who had gone through it a few years before me. And I was able to meet with her and talk about her cancer and her doctors and her treatment, which was huge for me at that moment, because I felt so alone and so removed from the world, feeling like I was the only 35-year-old.
That makes sense. Like, you just want to feel like you're a part of a community. Not that you want anyone else to have it.
Right.
But you want to be a part of a community with that support, because someone like me that's never had it, I don't understand.
Right.
So it's just that understanding.
Exactly, that you can talk to and say, okay, did you do chemo first? Did you do the surgery first?
Yeah.
How did you do with chemo? How, did you like your doctors? Where did you have your treatments? How did you feel about your treatments? Excuse me. It was just so helpful to talk to her. And I probably talked to her for about 2 hours, maybe, just picking her brain and asking so many questions and trying to figure out which direction would work best for me. So we moved forward with a lot of prayer and a lot of fasting from a lot of my friends and family that really just stepped up and made me feel so buoyed and lifted and comforted at such a terribly scary, difficult time. Yeah.
How did your kids handle all of it? I mean, I know they were young. How old was Austin? He's your oldest.
Austin was going into 7th grade. He was 12. Yeah, he's my oldest. Yeah. So he was 12 at the time. Sid was in 4th grade.
Oh,
Braden was in kindergarten.
my goodness. And a baby.
And my baby. Mm-hmm.
How did they understand?
I don't think my 2 younger ones, obviously Caleb was so little, he doesn't remember it. I do remember my surgeon giving me the most valuable advice. She and my oncologist both were so fabulous. I cannot say enough good things about both of those women. And my oncologist had gone through breast cancer 4 years before me.
Oh my goodness.
So to have her as a support as well. So when I'd go to my appointments and say, did this happen to you? And she could say yes or no, or
She could really empathize. Like she understood how you were feeling.
for sure. And relate.
Absolutely.
And I remember her saying, you're not going to lose your eyelashes until the end. So that's kind of the cherry on top. And it really stinks because you feel like, oh, I'm going to hang on to my eyelashes. And then your 4th treatment, they start falling out. And don't be shocked for when that happens. So the thing I wanted to tell you, though, that my surgeon told us when telling the kids, she said, because they just lost their grandpa, they're going to associate cancer with death. And you need to be very clear when you explain to them that your cancer is treatable and that we are going to do everything in our power to heal you from this cancer, and that you are going to be sick, and that you are going to lose your hair. And it was hard. It was hard to tell my kids. We let them shave my hair.
Oh.
And I think that's a fun memory for them. We laughed and I cried a lot, especially when we put them to bed. And my angel husband, who you never think you could love more, just held me. And I said, I feel so ugly. How can I ever feel pretty again? And he said, you're so beautiful. And that was the beginning of the journey. Sorry.
Wow. So you go in, you do your chemo, your kids shave your hair. You have, honestly, Sean is one of the greatest humans as well.
He
like,
is.
He adores you.
No, thank you.
Like, everyone needs a husband like
They
Sean.
do. I'm so grateful.
How long after your chemo did you get your surgery, and what exactly did they do?
So, my chemo, the last date of my chemo was May 25th. And I just desperately wanted to get that surgery done. Just so that we could cross off.
I don't blame you. Just to keep on going, make sure it's all cleaned out.
Right. And I knew there were several steps, and they told me from the very beginning, this is a year process between chemo, surgery, and radiation. If you do have to have all of, if your cancer is progressed, then, there are so many different treatments. But since mine was in my lymph node and it was sprinkled and my tumor is a little bit bigger, they did have to go in and do the surgery. So my last chemo treatment was May 25th, and they said, you need to heal, you need to get your energy up, and we can do your surgery 3 weeks from your last chemo date, which I was so anxious and ready and just wanting to get it done. So
You're such a fighter.
oh,
You're such a fighter.
We do whatever we have to do,
Right?
right? We don't have a choice, and
Right.
in some situations, right? And so I think we just do what we have to do in that moment to get through that hardship. And sometimes we don't know how we're going to do it. Sometimes we don't know what tomorrow looks like, or the next day, or the next month, but we do what we have to do. And so I had the surgery. I had never had a surgery in my life. I was so scared.
Really?
No.
That was your first one?
That was my first surgery.
Oh, bless your heart. Oh.
And we did the double mastectomy because we talked a lot about prophylactic measures, meaning preventing cancer from coming to the other side for reconstruction purposes and just for my peace of mind.
Absolutely.
I just felt like that's what I needed to do. So it was hard because I couldn't lift my baby. I couldn't reach my arms up. It was just, I think, because I had never had anything like that before, except, aside from having babies.
So different.
So different. And I didn't have any hair, and it was, you just feel like you're in this fog of what the heck is going on in my life,
Right. So how long did it take you to heal from that?
So I actually healed really quickly and well from the mastectomy and started my radiation about 6 weeks after my surgery, and did radiation every day for 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
5 days a week.
Were you so sick?
Not from the radiation. No. The radiation was a piece of cake. It was really, really great. I feel so blessed that it was, I don't want to say easy as it was, but they told me the one benefit of getting cancer when you're young is that your body is much more apt to snapping back than when you're older. Because
that makes sense.
It does. It really does. Even now, 11 years later, I feel like, gosh, you think of the energy that it takes to go through cancer and how the chemo just depletes you. I remember my brother calling me, and I said, I can't even talk. I can't talk, because you feel like if you can imagine a vacuum sucking every little bit of energy, or every ounce of energy that you have, that's what chemo does to you, and wipes you out for a good 3 or 4 days, and then each treatment progressively gets a little bit more difficult.
Oh, wow.
So I feel really blessed that the chemo was okay, that my surgery was pretty darn good, and the radiation was not terrible. It wasn't. I had heard of a lot of girls getting terrible burns. I didn't burn. I have little tattoos that they had to, mark.
Lish has tattoos.
I have a tattoo.
Oh
3.
my.
I love you so much.
Okay, gosh. So you made it through your radiation. So when was that all done?
That was done, I want to say, probably about this time. Probably the end of September.
Really?
Yeah. Of 2010. Yeah.
And then, because I don't know, what happens after radiation then? Do you go back in and they say you're clear? Like, how does that all work?
So that's really how it goes. I mean, okay. You take all of the steps, you do everything that's kind of on the checkbox list.
Okay.
And then they really say, okay, you will now be on this medication for a certain amount of years. We will watch you. You will come in every 6 months, and we'll do routine checkups, and we'll go from there. So I'm just thinking, because I'm one of those overthinker, make myself worry all the time. Were you worried for that first 6 months to come up and go back in and get checked? Or for that first year? How long did you worry? Oh, Tiff.
Or is it just is it a constant worry?
It really is. Time heals a lot of worry. I worried so much those first few years.
And of all people, you find the silver lining.
Oh,
you do.
Tiff,
You are
so
the
sweet.
kindest, sweetest soul.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Some people would be like,
Oh.
I'm sure complaining or cussing and saying, why this and why me? And you're just like, bye.
Oh, no.
I always knew. You're such a one.
No.
Do we all love her now?
Oh, my gosh.
We
No,
do.
we love Tiff. Yes, we do. You're so sweet.
So you get through that crazy year then, and then things started to look up and you started feeling better, or
It was a rough road. I'm not going to lie. It was rough, but really I feel so blessed to say all I kept thinking of, at least I don't have cancer. At least I don't have cancer. And I still did have so many fears, and a lot of my doctors would keep saying time will heal, time will, and girls, I had actually met some girls through this time period, and was really able to find support, and girls that had gone through these situations, and doctors that had treated girls. So it was a long road. It was a really long road, and I kept having complications and really out of the blue surgeries, and I had an ovarian cyst, and I had to go in for emergency surgery on that, and then I had to have a hysterectomy, and then a second hysterectomy, and then an obstructed bowel, for heaven's sakes.
oh my goodness.
I just really felt so defeated after 3 years. I just thought, I cannot have one more surgery. I don't ever want to see a hospital ever for as long as I live.
That is a lot to go through.
It was a long 3-4 years after that luckily most women can just not have to deal with. They're able to just get the treatments done and move forward. Mine was just a very unique, fluky case.
Oh my! I'm sorry, but I'm
thank you.
so grateful for
Me too.
for your experience. You're just the kindest soul, and I feel like you bring so much compassion to people.
Thank
You
you,
love
Tiff.
everyone.
Oh, thank
Do you feel like some of your compassion and love is just because almost like I don't want to say a second chance, but
absolutely. I just got chills because you just nailed it. And I remember feeling that for several years, telling Sean, I've got to be perfect. I've been given a second chance, which caused a lot of other problems too. Oh goodness, the issues. Because for years, I really, really felt like, yes, this is my second chance. I've got to really step it up. I've got to really be the best mom, the best wife, the best daughter, the best daughter-in-law, the best sister, the best friend. Yeah. A lot of.
So you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yes. But to go along with that, I do feel like a lot of my empathy and compassion came from that cancer, and the lessons that were taught to me during that time, I could have never learned any other way. Maybe in a different way, and I wouldn't have wished that upon anybody, but there were lessons that I learned for myself that are so much a part of who I am today.
So can you share a lesson or two with us?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
And I was thinking about this, over the past few days, thinking, gosh, it's so interesting how quickly we slip back into life and the busyness of our days, right? Which is good.
It happens.
Yeah. And
that's just normal.
Yeah.
We all get going and life is fast paced. And so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all I wanted for those 3 or 4 years. I just wanted my life back.
You wanted normal?
I wanted normal.
Normal.
So I think the biggest lesson for me was to just not take the little things for granted, and to soak up every ounce of time that I can get with my family and my friends, and to cherish that time and to treasure those moments. And my heart has been so full of gratitude since I went through all of this. I remember the first parent-teacher conference that I went to after, like a giddy little schoolgirl.
And most of us are like, do we have to go?
Yes.
Let's just pretend we didn't see it. Let's mark it off our calendar. Exactly. We forgot.
Sean's like, why are you excited to go to parent-teacher conference? I'm like, because I get to go. I can go. And so I remember just feeling like that time with my family was just so cherished, and learning how to be grateful for those moments, and for carpool again.
Making carpool fun.
Where's Seth when we need him?
Right? That is right.
If there's dishes in the sink, so what? So what? Those dishes will be there tomorrow. If my fridge breaks down, who cares? Guess what? I can get a new one. If the car breaks down, same thing. If the window breaks, I can get a new one. Perspective becomes so huge when you go through a health scare like that. It just really makes everything fall into place of what is important, and just puts your priorities right where I felt they needed to be, and just kind of gives you that swift kick in the hiney, like, okay, Alicia, what really matters? What is really important? It's not those dishes in the sink. It's not that your house is perfectly spotless, or that every ounce of laundry is folded and put away. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
I love that. I think anyone that's listening, that's an important lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
Remember what's important in our lives. And if you haven't taken inventory on that for a while, it might be a really good moment to just sit back and think about it. I mean, kids grow up so fast.
So true.
You've got a great husband. Cherish those times. There's just so many things that are more important in this life.
And it's hard as human beings,
It
and
is.
as moms, especially as women. I think we're hardwired to make sure that our kids that we're doing this, that we're doing that, that our houses are perfect, that we are doing.
Mine's not. You walked through it.
And
I own it.
And that's one of the many reasons why we love you so much.
But I really appreciate just that great reminder, because family and friends are everything. Relationships, for me, relationships are the most important thing I can take from this life. It's
Absolutely.
it isn't my house,
Right.
the size, the job. It's my relationships with
It's
people.
relationships.
And how are people going to remember me? I
Right.
hope, I leave like that legacy someday. That's what you want,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
So
for
thank
sure.
you. Thanks for sharing that. What do you think, or what can you tell us as someone that doesn't have it? How how can we help someone that's going through it? How can we be a better support? How can we show more compassion? Like, what do you need? You know?
Yeah. That's a really, really awesome question, and a question that I get asked a lot for friends who have family members or friends. What can we do for them? Please tell me, how can I help her? How can I serve her? What can I do? And it's hard because everybody is so different, and some women really, really appreciate having a lot of support around. Some women are very private and don't really want the focus on them. But for me, what I found that I learned mostly is don't ask, just do. If you feel a prompting or that little burning voice inside of you telling you, go take Susie Jones a swig, drop it on her porch. Or if you feel like, you're thinking of her, drop her a text. My brother and sister-in-law, actually, while I was going through it, sent me a letter every week.
Really?
Every week. I was thinking about this morning. I'm going to start crying again. They live in Lehigh. We see each other all the time. But these letters were so beautiful. And my sister-in-law is a writer. She has a technical writing background. And so her words were just so eloquent and so encouraging and so inspiring. And to just have something like that to look forward to every week in my mailbox, to know that I was getting a letter from my brother and my sister-in-law, that they had taken the time to write down their thoughts in words and encourage me and lift me up with so many positive thoughts, was huge.
I love that.
Huge. So think about those little moments and don't ask them. Do not ever, I never anymore, I do not say, what can I do for you?
Because our first instinct, what can I do for you? Nothing, I'm fine.
Nothing. I'm great.
If you
I don't want
wanna
to burden you.
I feel like listen to your intuition, listen to what's
Listen to your
inside. If
intuition.
you feel like you want to go clean someone's house,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Go do their kitchen, start a crock pot meal, do something to help their kids.
Yes.
I don't know. I could think of a million things. I love the letter. The letter thing is beautiful, and it's something for you to hold on to and have forever. Like that's just, I don't know. That's precious. That's priceless.
It is priceless. It is. Those letters will always be there for me to read and to look back on and think about that time. Yeah. Plus, if somebody is more private and doesn't
want you to come into their house,
right,
or invade their little safe space,
then I feel like, dropping by a sweet note with a swig or with some cookies, or it doesn't even have to be with anything. It can just be a sweet note, just to let them know you are thinking of that person. You are praying for them. You are cheering them on. And that, to me, is just meant the world every time somebody reached out to me and brought me little smoothies or drinks, or just...
I love that. You felt like you had a little cheerleader.
Yes.
I love that. Be a
cheerleader squad.
Be a cheerleader.
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to have pom-poms.
No, you don't. Or a megaphone.
But do you want to... I would come to your front yard if I would have known, with pom-poms, and I would have done a dance for you.
I would have loved it.
I would have
loved it. And you know what? That's a great idea. I think that's a fabulous idea.
Oh, Lish. Okay, so another question for you.
Yes.
Tell me how important it is to go get a mammogram.
Oh my goodness. Please go get your mammograms.
Even if you're busy?
Even if you're busy and you reschedule it twice like I did. And then I wiped it off from my calendar completely until this little pain came.
Don't wait for the pain.
Don't wait. Just, I love how Tiff constantly reminds us as women to love ourselves and to take care of ourselves, because our loved ones that we are so concerned and worried about
if something was wrong with your kids, if something was wrong with your husband, if something was wrong with your mom or dad,
Right.
you would make sure that you got them right to the doctor or that you got them help. So why not do that for yourself?
Yes. If I could just scream it from the rooftops, and I really am vocal about that, where before I never would have said a word.
And now when you go in to get your yearly exam as a woman, they do they show you how to do like the breast exam on yourself.
Yes.
They do a breast exam. There's a lot that you can be doing every single week,
Yes.
every
Yes.
month. You can be very proactive about it. Also, I went and got my first mammogram when I turned 40. Okay. That was a while ago. Just put that out there. But I was scared. And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this.
What
and they
to
make you
expect.
put, I'm just going to be just right out open and honest with you guys. Okay.
Do it, honey. Yeah.
We go in to do a mammogram. You have on this little gown with the front open, and obviously there's nothing underneath. And you have to put your breasts up on this thing, and they squish them. They squish those in
smash
there.
'em.
And I was scared.
Yes.
Because they squish them this way, then they squish them this way. And I just want you to know, it's only 20 minutes.
Right.
You survive. And if you do it, go take yourself to lunch.
Yes.
Go get a treat.
Or better yet, invite a friend to go with you.
Yes.
Make the appointments together or
Yes.
not, and then invite your friends to go to lunch after
Yes.
and celebrate the fact.
That you did that for
Yes.
yourself, and that
Yes.
you're being proactive, and that you are take care of you.
Yes.
So when I knew that I wanted to talk to you, I did a little bit of research on breast cancer awareness. Everyone, male, female, all of us have breast tissue.
Right.
They have really great free pamphlets that they will send out to you.
Yes, they do.
That will explain how to do a breast exam, what to watch for, things
Yes.
to be aware of, maybe signs, how the different stages look.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I
is.
would highly recommend that you also go on there and get those pamphlets. It was very
Yes.
informative.
Good.
I really, really loved that. It also had some myths on there.
Yeah. Be careful about
I
those
just
myths.
want you to know, guys, these are things, and I have heard this growing up. People would say, deodorant causes breast cancer.
goodness.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't. No.
Also, neither do cell phones. Neither do microwaves.
Right.
There was something else. Anyway, there were all these things, and I'm like, oh, I've heard all of that before.
Yes.
And it's not funny, because this is not a funny subject, but it did make me chuckle, because I was always like, I want to wear deodorant because I don't want to stink, but I really don't want to give myself breast cancer.
Exactly.
So now I can put it on and feel great.
That's right.
And
That's
smell
right.
good.
And smell lovely.
Oh, so what other words of advice do you have for anyone watching? As a mom, as a wife, as a friend, any words of advice?
You know, I think the greatest words of advice that I could probably give is just maybe going back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago, is just really living your life to the fullest and being so grateful for this journey. It is a hard journey. And there are so many twists and turns that come and shock us sometimes, and things that we never could have imagined would have ever happened to us. But like I said earlier, we don't have a choice. And so I feel like the greatest advice that I could give is just to live your life to the fullest. Be happy, be grateful, be so grateful, and just try to find that joy outside of yourself, and take care of yourself, like you always say, and do what we can to make sure that we're going to the doctor, that we're exercising, that we're eating right, or eating well, doing all of those things that we can without making ourselves feel terrible about
Be kind.
the little things. Exactly.
Just be kind.
Kind to yourself. Be kind to everybody. Yes.
Yes.
And just take it day by day and live life to the fullest, really.
Oh, I'm so grateful for her.
Oh, I'm so grateful
So
for you,
grateful
Tiff.
for you. I'm
Oh,
so
thank
grateful
you.
for just the beauty and the light that you bring into not just my life. Anyone and everyone that knows Alicia Koos, anyone, I promise you, I could say, please leave in the comments what you think about her. She's an angel. And you
are too kind.
really have touched so many people's lives.
Thank
and your
you.
story is beautiful. And you've done it with
Thank
grace.
you.
And you've done it with gratitude. And you've done it with a smile. Like
Thank you.
Again, I'm in awe. And I'm grateful for your example to me. And I hope all of you can take something from this and just, again, be mindful of yourself. Be proactive. Go online and get that information and really take care of yourself. And remember, today you are enough.